How strong is the EU's case?
Well, thank you, Maggie. It's difficult to say, of course, because we don't have a copy of the statement of objections, which is basically the charge sheet that has been sent to Google, or that will be sent shortly to Google. That's the big news today. But I suppose that after a fairly lengthy investigation, the Commission considers it has a strong case against Google. Otherwise, it would not take this step.
Well, except that there's, as we heard in that piece, an awful lot of political pressure. And a lot of critics say that that's what this is. You know, it's an attempt to protect or to try to foster European companies who failed to compete. So now they're looking for other sorts of protections. What should we make of the fact that the U.S. took a look at this and decided to drop the cases against Google? Will it make it harder for the Europeans in a similar situation, although in their own court system, you know, to make those same arguments?
Right. I don't think it is really a matter of protectionism. One should not forget that some of the major complainants are American companies. I think the reason why the Commission is still looking at this case is simply because when it comes to so-called abuses of a dominant position, European law tend to be more interventionist. So I think that explains the case. But I don't think it's a matter of protecting European companies. The European Commission is a very tough enforcer. It's tough vis-à-vis European companies as well.
That's right. And we saw that play out with Microsoft. And a lot of people are looking back at this and making comparisons to what Microsoft went through and ultimately lost and had to make changes, had to pay fines. Do you think that those comparisons are there? Are there any sort of lessons or warnings we should take when we look at what Microsoft went through?
Right, it's true. I mean, the Microsoft case was a very lengthy and complex investigation. This is also a complex case, a very complex case. But I think there's still a lot to play for Google. This is not the final step of the process. Now Google will have an opportunity to respond to the statement of objections. There will be a hearing. And so once this is done, they still have the possibility to offer commitments to the European Commission. So we will see. I mean, certainly Google is in a difficult position now because it has to face these allegations. But I think that they can still defend themselves and perhaps settle the case. We will see.
And what do you think that defense would look like? I mean, Google is obviously a large company. They have a lot of money. They have, you know, presumably the best lawyers that money can buy. What are the types of you know, things that they're going to bring to the table? When I talk to people in technology, one of the things they point out is you're on top one day, and it's so easy for a competition to come and eat your lunch. The changes are so rapid. Does that make it harder to make the argument, given the changes we've seen in the landscape, that anyone is dominant in any given field?
Well, it is true that very often the winners of today are the losers of tomorrow. And this is one of the reasons why it's actually problematic. It has taken so much time for the European Commission to come to this point. Now, it is true that Google has very good lawyers. They will put forward a very strong defense. And I think they will essentially raise a number of legal arguments. One argument being whether it is a problem for a company to discriminate in favor of its own services. Of course, complainants think it is a problem. Google will say it is not necessarily a problem, and I think they will probably build a case around that. But certainly they will put forward a very strong defense.
Do you think that the European Commission is going to have to put up a defense for itself? We already heard comments coming from the president of the U.S., which is very uncommon to get that kind of comment. And you know, certainly the paper's an initial reaction here is that, and I'm quoting one, the EU is penalizing success and rewarding complacency. How independent are the antitrust regulators in Europe? And are they going to have to address these issues that this is politically motivated?
I understand, and it's true that it's a politically charged case. I mean, Google is a very large corporation. They have products that people use every day. It's a popular company. But I think the European Commission is very independent. During the Microsoft investigation, they also faced pressure. They're used to face pressure, and very often they will look at cases on their own merits. So I understand politics is there, but I'm confident that the Commission will look at things based on the merits of the case.